This segment is sponsored by Noble McIntyre and McIntyre Law. For nearly 60 years, we have been sending out shout outs to Oklahoma students making a difference in their communities. We actually called it a noble cause, and we couldn't do it without, I should say, a good friend, local attorney and philanthropist, Noble McIntyre. He joins us live. It's always good to see you, Noble. Noble, who are we honoring today?
Hey, it's good to see you too. You know, you said almost 6 years. It's actually almost 7. And in 7 years, this is my first in 7 years winner from Burns Flat. And for those of you that watch, you know that I'm a Burns Flat guy. I grew up in Burns Flat. So my very first ever winner from Burns Flat. This is Brance. Tell me about yourself. Tell me your name. Tell me where you're from. Tell me everything about yourself.
Well, I'm Brance Barnett. I'm 16. I'm from south of Burns Flat, closer to Dill City, Oklahoma.
The reason I had him hold the microphone was because I needed to hold the Burns Flat football jersey, 1988 circa Noble McIntyre up. That's why I did it. It really was about me. But go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about you. Tell me again. So, Brance, you've been in 4-H since you were a little kid. You said you started 4-H when you were how old?
About 5 in
All
Clover
right.
Buds.
About 5, the Clover Buds. And now you're a sophomore. You've been going to Burns. You're not in Sentinel anymore because, you know, Sentinel was a rival of Burns Flat, and I feel like they're still a rival because when you stepped back from Sentinel, they didn't let you come back to school, did they?
That's correct.
What's wrong with Sentinel? I mean, come on, Sentinel. So now you're in Burns Flat. You're homeschooled, but you're going through the 4-H program at Burns Flat, and you started that how long ago?
4 years ago now.
All right, and so you've been there in 4-H. You got a pretty good club. Tell the folks watching, because we've been talking about some of the projects you've done. First of all, tell them about the offices you hold, because guys, I had to have a cheat sheet for how much stuff this kid's already done. I mean, you are the Burns Flat 4-H Senior Club reporter, the Ouachita County 4-H team leader, president, and the West District 4-H reporter. Sounds like you've done a lot of stuff. You're the Oklahoma Healthy Living ambassador. So 4-H seems to be pretty important to you.
It's one of the most important things that I do.
What do you feel that you get out of 4-H?
I get a lot of great opportunities out of 4-H, and it prepares me for what I might encounter in life.
Well, and we've gotten that from a lot of kids, and I think 4-H is a great program. Now, we've talked about some of the projects you've done, and there's some that are pretty near and dear to your heart. Why don't you talk to me about the top 1 or 2 or 3 projects?
Well, my top project that I did this past summer was the Leather Feathers, and I did a whole bunch of workshops at different 4-H clubs and even some school classes. And that was an opportunity through Tandy Leather Company. They have a store here in Oklahoma City, and that's where I get some of my leather from. They had this opportunity that if you cut leather feathers out of vegetarian leather and then paint them and send them in, they'll go to a national art display in Columbus, Ohio for National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Week, which was in October. I made over 400 feathers and sent them in, and they were on display for a whole week in October of last year. And I taught over 350 kids about suicide awareness and prevention. And that's a big problem here in Oklahoma, especially in the West District, which is where I'm from. Anadarko schools is actually the highest suicide rate in the entire nation for high schoolers, and that's a big problem that needs to be addressed.
Wow, I didn't know that. And guys, I don't know if you saw the viewers out there, if they threw pictures up on the screen of some of these feathers that you've done, but they're pretty incredible. Tell me why the suicide prevention, how that even came into your sight, because you're only 16 years old. There's not a lot of kids even thinking about that. At least I didn't when I was your age. How did that come to your awareness that that was an important issue?
One of my former classmates at Sentinel, actually, that happened to him. And that kind of brought it to my attention, and the more I looked, the more I found that it was a big issue. And I thought that it needed to be addressed, and Tandy Leathers had a great opportunity to help me address that.
Well, I think that's fantastic. And so tell me the other projects you've done. Now, you said you've led some projects, 100, 300 students. What are some of the other things that you've done in 4-H besides that?
Well, last year I was a state officer. I was a West District representative. I was one of 3. This year I'm a district officer. I'm the district reporter, so I get to highlight all the cool stuff that happens in the West District. I am the Ouachita County Team Leader President, which means I get to help a lot with the county projects, and I'm involved with almost everything that goes on in 4-H in the county. And I'm also the club reporter, so I get to highlight all the cool stuff that just my club does.
Well, let me tell you what I do. So you already know that I'm from Burns Flat. I was in 4-H myself, and I think it's a great program. What I try to do, I have a law firm here in Oklahoma City, McIntyre Law, and I try to identify young adults that are doing something different in their community. That's certainly you. A lot of kids your age, I don't say, a lot of young adults your age are not doing the things you're doing. So this is just my way to highlight what you're doing, highlight 4-H, and say thank you for all that you're doing for the community. Keep it up. I have a plaque here that we didn't bring, so we're going to imagine a plaque where you're the Noble Cause winner of February of 2023. We're going to get that sent to you. Those of you who've watched have seen that before. I also have a check for you from my firm and a check for Ouachita County 4-H. It's just my way of saying thank you. Keep it up. We expect great things out of you. Guys, another fantastic Noble Cause winner. This one from Burns Flat. Sentinel, come on. Burns Flat, all right. And hey, guys, back to you.
Now, more about our sponsor, attorney Noble McIntyre and McIntyre Law. They are experienced trial lawyers. McIntyre Law is located at 8601 Southwestern Avenue in OKC. You can check them out online at McIntyreLaw.com. And get this, you can download their new app and call them at 405-917-5200. They do offer virtual meetings as well.